Okay, welcome everybody. I am so excited for tonight's special guest. We have Ambassador Diamond, millionaire earner, top 10 earner, Cassie Westlund on tonight. Cassie and I live pretty close to each other down here in Southwest Florida, and so I'm lucky. I get to see her once a month for our mastermind group with Pam, and the more I've got to know her, I just absolutely love and respect her and admire her so much. She is such a hustler. And such a silent hustler, which makes me admire her even more. She's climbed up in numbers these last few years. She was on the Costa Rica Leadership Retreat in December, and that's where honestly Zach and I really got to know her and her husband Spencer really well, and we just love them so much. And so I'm excited for you guys to get to learn from her tonight. Cassie's amazing. Like I said, she works like silently under the cover, and like I feel like all of a sudden we just like see huge things happening from her team, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, how does Cassie do it? What are they doing? And so I'm excited for her to share tonight. Cassie, if you want to go ahead and just unmute yourself, and we can start with your story, and then we can just kind of dive right in.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the kind words. You're so sweet. So I'm Cassie, I'm 25 years old, and I joined the business about 5.5 years ago now. So I joined when I was 20 years old. And at the time I was a full-time college student. I was taking 5 classes. I was working so many different part-time jobs. I was bartending, babysitting, cleaning houses on the weekend with Spencer for extra cash, you name it. If there was an extra side hustle, like I would grab it. So I always had a pretty good work ethic instilled in me. And at the time as well, me and Spencer were living on our own. So I had like real bills to pay, and I had a lot of responsibility pretty early on. So I was just sick and tired of like living for the weekends and not having enough to pay the bills. And I just felt very overworked and underpaid. I wasn't passionate about what I went to school in. I changed my major like 2 or 3 times. I absolutely hated school. I wasn't even a good student, but I just went because I knew that you had to. So I found the opportunity on Instagram. I watched my enroller for a few months. I was very skeptical. I'm a very shy, introverted person. Like Brittany said, I like to keep to myself. I'm pretty quiet, and I've been like that for a while. So doing something like this was really out of my comfort zone. I did not have a big social media presence whatsoever. I only had 300 followers on my Instagram. When I joined, I wasn't one to post much at all. So when I found it, I just honestly didn't think I'd be good at it. I kind of discredited myself, and I counted myself out. So I waited for a while. And eventually one day, I was just like feeling the tug of God, like pulling me towards opportunity for no reason at all. I just had a feeling I had to do it, and I couldn't explain it. So I joined. And right off the bat, I had a lot of people close to me, friends, family even, just kind of like bashing me, discouraging me, telling me I was involved in a scam. They told me I wouldn't go anywhere. A lot of people making fun of me. People were just kind of mean, and I really, really felt bad about it. But I kind of just had 2 choices at that point. I could have either gone all in and really prove them wrong, or I could have just believed them and let it defeat me and give up and quit. And I did not want to do that. I knew, and I believed in the opportunity, and I caught the vision pretty early on. And I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in. I'm not going to do it just halfway. So I pretty much treated this business like a business since day one. And because of it, I promoted to Ruby my first month, Diamond my second, Double Diamond my third month. So I went really quickly in the beginning. And honestly, when people ask me how I did it, I can't even tell you what it was other than ignorance on fire, and just the fact that I went all in, like literally day one. I just did what I was told. I did everything my enroller told me to do. I didn't wait. I didn't kind of just do it halfway. I went all in. But I also utilized my warm market a lot. I pretty much got my best friend, who is Nayara Ribeiro, to sign up right away. Literally 2 days later after I joined, I made her sign up with me because I knew she was broke and needed money too. I got my sister to sign up. I got my friend from high school to sign up. Now she's a triple diamond. So I pretty much just like utilized every single person I had. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people I knew told me no. I had a lot of people pretty much, turn me down right away. And that didn't stop me from asking everyone. I still had 3 people I knew sign up with me, and today they're all VIPs. I have an ambassador, a presidential, and a triple that are all with me still to this day that I joined because I utilized my warm market. So I think that's really important to utilize those people, because I know it could be scary to ask those people, but for me, I was like, why not? Like, I just have nothing to lose. So 10 months in, I went triple diamond. And at that point, it was like a huge turning point for me because I was able to quit all my other jobs. And in that time frame, I also ended up dropping out of school just because it wasn't for me. I realized I can do this full time and I can make it a career. So why not just do that and stop racking up some more student loans? So at that point, I was like all in for the business. And at triple diamond, my husband was able to come home with me full time, which was amazing because I never got to see him. He was always working so many jobs as well, all physically demanding. So it was really nice having him come home. And at that point, like, life was really good. We were able to pay off student loans. We were able to pay off credit cards. We moved into a new apartment, bought a new car, all the great things. And about a year later, went presidential. And 5 months after that, which was like my 2-year anniversary, I went ambassador. So it was like a huge, huge thing. Like I went fast in the beginning, really quickly. And then after ambassador, I moved to Florida. I fell in love with Sarasota after coming down for green carpet a few times. And I've always wanted to live somewhere warm and sunny. So I figured, why not just do it? And I've been down here now for 3 years and I absolutely love it. We built our dream home. We get to travel all the time. I've been able to give back to my family more than I ever thought before. You know, we joined for selfish reasons and we end up like literally changing so many lives around us. And I can't imagine my life without this business. It's done honestly countless things for us. And now I get to just own my own time. We get to spend every single day together. We have freedom of finances, freedom of time, freedom to travel, like I said, and it's been amazing.
I love it so much. And I love hearing you talk about Nayara and like asking her to join you right away. Because you guys, I don't know if y'all realize this, Nayara also the top 20 leader to Costa Rica. And that was the first time I had ever met her as well. And she's just amazing. And I feel like you guys are so similar. And I like talking to her, I could totally see like, okay, I see how you got so quickly as well, because you guys are both that silent hustler type, or I can tell you just like put your blinders on and stay focused. But I'm highlighting this to say, like, Cassie's not the only one on her team successful, but she has helped so many people, reach the top with her. And so that's just such an honor, and just really speaks volumes about your leadership and not just how hard you've worked, but like how hard you've worked to help change other people's lives too. I remember when I first started hearing about you, because you're so quiet, you're not on a lot of Zooms, like you just really keep to yourself. But whenever I guess it was like a year or two ago, whenever you were announced number 2, I'm like, who is Cassie? And then I started hearing of all these people, and I'd be like, oh, who are they? Who are they? And I was talking to Claire, my enroller, and she's like, oh, they're under Cassie. Oh, they're under Cassie. Oh, they're under Cassie. And it was like all these big people that were VIP, presidential ambassador. And I just really started realizing, like, holy cow, you guys have this like powerhouse team. You guys are just like so quiet. And one thing I wanted to ask you, and I'd love for you to speak on, is you don't feel like you need the spotlight to be successful. Like you really don't care if anyone knows who you are, what you're doing. And obviously at this point in the business, everyone does know who you are, but you guys, that's never been what it's about. Like there's like no pride there. There's no ego. You just literally keep to yourself and work hard and lead your team. And I don't exactly know what my question is, but I feel like maybe you know what I'm asking. Like, what would you say to someone who's kind of like, oh, like, I just feel like no one even notices me. Like no one notices that I'm working hard. Like what would kind of your answer be to that?
Well, so in the very beginning, I had my enroller help me, but honestly, soon after that, I was kind of independent on my own. So I was very much independent, and I honestly just think of it this way. Like I didn't join this business to be praised or to become famous or have the spotlight. Like I didn't ever think that would be a thing. Like I just joined to change my life and to make money, right? So the way I see it, maybe it's just my personality. There's nothing wrong with wanting the spotlight or loving to be on stage if you love that. But for me, like I don't really like that. I actually prefer not to. That's just me. I like to like work by myself silently. Like as long as I have the paycheck, like I don't care if anyone knows my name. And of course, obviously you get to a point where people do get to know you, and that's great. But yeah, like for me, it just wasn't about that. Like it was just about changing my life and changing my family's life and my team, of course. And that's like pretty much it. Like I just, because I'm so used to, I guess, working independently, that's just all I knew. So I think it's fine if you do love it. I think that there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't think that you need someone cheering you on 24/7 to be successful. Like you have to be like your own cheerleader and be okay with that.
I love that. That's so good. I just think it's such a good reminder, because I think that, we do see so many people in the business who maybe just kind of always for one reason or another have the spotlight, whether they kind of asked for it or whether they were thrown in it. And it's such a good reminder, like if that's not happening to you for one reason or another, like you can still be amazing. Like you can still do everything you want to do and more, regardless if anyone, currently is noticing you. I just think that that's just such a huge testimony to like stay focused and keep your blinders on and go after it for you, for your family, for your team. So my next question for you is, I know everyone is just dying to hear any of your Instagram tips. I know that you shared with me that most of your enrollments do come from Instagram, and you built pretty quickly on Instagram. Can you just share with us like what your Instagram was like when you got started? Like how many followers did you have then? And then just kind of like your best and most simple tips for maximizing Instagram, or just like working it on a daily basis.
So right now I am doing Facebook. I'm honestly really new to Facebook. It's been about like 3 to 4 months now that I've gone full force with like Facebook and Facebook host to post. So a lot of my enrollments come from that as well, but I do sign a lot on Instagram. Literally up until a few months ago, I only enrolled off Instagram, and I used to mass enroll off Instagram. So it's definitely possible. So when I first started, I only had 300 followers. So I literally had nothing. Right now I have about 15,000 on my main account. I actually have 3 Instagrams. So the reason why I have 3 is because obviously Instagram has like limitations on how many people you can follow, message, things like that per hour. And I know that you have to kind of work slowly to not get blocked. So for me, when I have multiple accounts, it kind of just helps me do more without having to wait around until that block is lifted, if that makes sense. And it's also kind of just like having a backfall, like God forbid, one of my Instagrams ever got like hacked or shut down, which could happen, but I hope it never happens. I always have something else to fall back on. And I post all the same things on all 3 accounts. So it's really not that much work. It's just, that extra step of posting the same thing on the 3rd account. With the stories, it's more tedious. Obviously on your feed, there is an option if you have your accounts linked that you can post one picture once and have it go to all of your pages if you have more than one. So if you feel like you really want to go all in with Instagram and if you feel like you are getting blocked very easily, then I do recommend making a second one. It wouldn't hurt. And I do recommend being private if you are trying to get your following up. I know a lot of people say be public because your posts will get reached more. And I do think that's great in some aspect as far as like hashtags, locations. And right now, because reels are so huge, if you want like that to go viral, and if you are doing that, you can go public. But I feel like the way I grew it, being private is best, because the way I grew my following to begin with was just by following other people. So I would literally follow like 100 people a day minimum every single day. And doing that, people would follow me back. Of course, not everyone's going to follow me back. Maybe like 30 to 50% of the people would follow me back, and that way I grew my followers. But if your account is public, there's not that sense of curiosity for someone to follow you back. So for me, I think it works better. You can always flip flop and go back and forth and see what works better for you. But I've definitely noticed from personal experience in my team saying private is better. I like to message on Instagram. So I know a lot of people, not everyone does this. I'm not sure if you do this, Brittany, but I've always been like a huge fan of cold messaging pretty much ever since day one. So the way I do this is I go down my followers list. So I like to do it this way, just as how I stay organized. I take screenshots of my followers and I have it in like albums in my phone. And the reason why I do that, so I can keep track of who I've messaged and I can erase screenshots as I've messaged them. And I know where I left off. Because if you just message aimlessly, it's going to be really disorganized. So I'll just like take a bunch of screenshots until like I have an endless amount of names. And then once they run out, I do it again. But I message people probably like every single day. I tend to do like 10 to 15 new people per hour. So you don't want to do like 100 at once because you can get blocked. Not saying that it wouldn't work for you, but it's not going to work long-term consistently every single day. So I like to space it out all throughout my day in little increments. And that way it's also not as overwhelming for me. And it only takes like 2 minutes to send out those messages. And doing that, I typically send like a product message. So I can give you an example after, Brittany, of like what I would send. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong way to send a message, as long as like your message is somewhat good. But when someone responds back to it, if they want more information, I always ask for their phone number. So I don't really like hearing the conversation through DM, only because not many people check their DM as often. You don't get the notification. It's not like Facebook where it pops up like a text. So for me, texting people is so much easier. They answer quicker. And if they don't end up answering me, I have their number already to follow up with them. Whereas if I didn't, if they're in my DM, if the DM is just going to get buried unless I remember to write their name down. So I like doing that. And literally 95% of the time, everyone is okay with giving me their number. It's only going to be weird if you think it's weird. But it's okay if someone tells you no, or if someone doesn't respond to you asking for their number, then I'll just be like, or we can DM if that's easier for you. And they end up saying that's fine. And then from there, I will send them like a list of products, like our most popular products. I'll be like, hey girl, it's Cassie from Instagram. So first tell me what you're interested in. And I'll send out like a list of our most popular products. And then they pick from there and I carry on the conversation to sign them as a customer. So the reason why I always lead with the products is because for me, like I attempted cold messaging for distributors before, and I felt like I didn't get as many responses. So the way I see it is more people are going to respond to a product message than a distributor message. So if they can't afford it in any way or don't have the money, I can always flip the script and tell them, I totally understand. Have you ever thought about doing what I do to make an extra income? I've gotten a lot of distributors that way. It happens literally all the time. I can always turn them into a potential distributor. So for me, it's like hitting them both at the same time. And then if someone says no to both, then I'll ask them to host a post. So I kind of hit all three, and then I'll just give them 2 different slides. One of them is a product slide. like for the coffee, and I'll have the slide say text coffee to my phone number. And then same for the business. I'll say text opportunity to my phone number. I like having them text me versus just to follow me or DM me. I like getting the text right away so I know that it's working. So it could just be like a different slide that you make for them. And I always say, you can post both and you'll get double entries if you post both, instead of picking and choosing between which one they're going to post. And then of course, if I do get anyone interested in the product and they sign up to be a loyal customer, I will always ask those people to host a post as well. So I'm always asking everyone to post for me. I have gotten quite a few customers and distributors from Instagram host posts. It's not like Facebook host posts, but it still works. I saw someone say, do you get ugly messages on Instagram? Yes, I do, all the time. And it's normal. Like, you kind of just like have to let it like roll off your back. I'm like used to it at this point. There's always going to be mean people, but I just don't even entertain it. I just block them. So you kind of just have to go into it with thicker skin, I guess. And you also have to go into it like that you're planting seeds, because you can go message 100 people, maybe only 10 will answer, and that's okay. But I kind of like have the idea that we're farmers, we're planting seeds, and those seeds are going to harvest, because I've had so many people not answer me or ignore my message completely, or maybe they were interested and they stopped answering me, always end up coming back later because they see my posts and they end up ordering from me or joining me. So it's just consistency. And that's why you have to be so consistent also with posting on Instagram, because even if they don't respond, more than likely they're going to look at my page, because when I message someone, it's just an invitation for them to look at what I'm doing. Because I'm sure if you guys have ever gotten like a random DM on Instagram about whatever, you're going to look at the page to see what they're talking about. So that's why you have to have content about the business and your life, because they'll see what you're talking about. But if you have nothing about the business, they're not going to take you as seriously. So it all kind of works together. So that's what I do, obviously, on Instagram every single day. That's what helps me so much. I never wait for people to reach out to me. I just feel like I'm wasting time if I'm not reaching out to people. Of course, it kind of all goes in hand, like I said, with posting on stories, posting on your feed. I post on my story all throughout the day, from the morning to night. It's very important to be consistent on your story. And then I post on my feed a little bit less, just a few times a week. Obviously, Instagram has changed over the years. Back then, we can post an endless amount and it wouldn't matter, but now it's a little bit more quality over quantity. So I try to still do it consistently, but not as much. I feel like stories are better. And I have a lot of apps too that I use to make stories. I'm not sure if you guys like making stories or not. I know sometimes it can be a little bit time consuming, but sometimes I think having more eye-catching stories can help. I love the app Over. The app Unfold is really great. And I did notice they have come out with a lot of new templates lately, like new collections, really, really cute ones. And it's kind of foolproof because the templates are so cute that anyone can make a cute story if you just plug in your pictures and put text over it. And I recently just got a new app, actually yesterday. It's called In Stories. And it's kind of like the app Mojo, if you guys know what that is. It's like animations, but better. And like I said, still foolproof because all the templates are kind of made there for you. You just plug in your pictures and plug in your text. So for me, like I like it because a lot of times I'll post something that's like really cute, or like people could tell it wasn't just like a regular app, and they always ask me like, what app did you use to make this? And it helps my engagement because people are responding to my stories and swiping up in my stories. So do you guys have any questions about that?
I love all that so much, Cassie. And I completely agree about being private. I was private till I got over 10,000 followers. And I really, really do think while you're growing, exactly what you said, like you're piquing people's curiosity because they see you follow them or you requested them, and they can't see who you are till they request you. So I completely agree with that. And yeah, you know, our team in general, like we haven't ever done a ton of cold messaging. And one reason I was really excited to have you on is listening to you and Spencer talk about how you guys work together and just really maximize your time. Like you guys are just machines. And I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, but I absolutely love so much just hearing you say like how simple you keep it and you don't want to wait for people to come to you. And also just your tip about going into it with thick skin. I think that that's honestly in our business something everyone should do no matter what your method is to working your business, because if you're going to let one mean person or even 20 mean people, you know, just completely ruin your day, like that's just so sad because you just gave them the power to halt your momentum. And so I just absolutely love that that was your like cut and dry advice to that question. And that's so smart about getting their number right away. Those are just some of the things that I wrote down. And I also wanted to say the tip about flipping every PLC that can't afford it to being a PDT. I think that that's something that's such a great tip in any situation, like whether you were messaging, whether it was host to post, like if someone can't afford it, just immediately flipping them, asking them if they've ever thought about doing what you do. Like what a way to like just continuously be solution minded and find a win no matter what, even down to having a post to post. So I love that so much. I haven't seen any specific questions in the chat. I put the apps that you said in there. And then guys, I will post, like I'll share the message that she shares on the thread of the Zoom announcement and the team page. I'll put in the comments whenever she shares that with me after. So we'll get that, don't worry. And then as far as algorithm, do you have any tips, Cassie, for just maximizing your place in the algorithm now that you are working Facebook?
So I'm definitely better on Instagram. I know it's a little bit similar, but also different. I think engagement is huge, and it's one thing that we kind of forget to do when it comes to commenting and liking. I know on Facebook, if you go into the most recent option and you go and comment and like on those posts, it's going to help your algorithm because those are the posts that you're not seeing on your actual newsfeed. But I am better on Instagram, but it just comes down to you engaging with your followers. So swipe up on people's stories. If you like something, give people likes and comments. I know it can be a little bit time consuming, but if you just do it a little bit all throughout the day, it can really, really help. And as far as like the mean people, like, you know, like God put you in this business for a reason. Like you're not going to just like let one negative person like take you out. And the way I see it is like someone's going to be got to be really unhappy with their life if they're going to take time out of their day to be nasty to you. Because even like if it were me personally and I saw something that I personally didn't like, I would never say anything because that's just mean. So if someone has the time to do that to me, I'm not going to let it steal 2 seconds of my joy. It just doesn't make sense. If it's not going to matter in 5 years from now, do not even waste 5 minutes on it. I just block them. I don't even try to engage in the conversation because I know it's just going to make me more upset and take out more of my energy. So it's one of those things that you kind of just have to like let roll off your back. But it is a process. Like I know in the beginning for me, it was harder back then. Now it's easier. Obviously, you know, now if I still see a message, it kind of stings for a second. Then I'm like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to let that one person steal my joy. So, and as far as like Spencer helping me, obviously, I know it's very different for everyone. And he didn't do this in the beginning because of course he was busy. This didn't really happen until I was a triple diamond when he came home. But basically all he does for me is he helps with the behind the scenes stuff. So he helps with the messaging, he helps with the following, the engagement, things like that. So I don't know if you guys have like a supportive spouse or someone that can help, but even if they want to help you in some way, shape, or form, then just doing like the basic stuff that anyone can do, as long as like you tell them how to do it. Anyone can be taught how to do it. Obviously, he doesn't seal the deal for me. I have those conversations. But if you have someone that can support you, that's great. If not, that's okay too. I just think for me, it kind of frees up more of my time to do the things that are more important at the stage I am in now. So it's more productive for sure. I know some people have assistants too when they get to a certain point in their business, but if you don't have it, that's fine. Like that doesn't mean you need it. I didn't have that at all until triple diamond. So I went triple diamond without his help. So you definitely don't need the help if you don't have it.
Yeah, I love that. I think that it really, like, even if your spouse just wants to help you when you're sitting there, you know, in the evenings and you're watching TV together passively, like Zach used to follow for me first thing in the morning before he'd go to work. He would get up earlier than me, and he had to go to work like pretty early, like 6 or 6:30. And so when he was having his coffee and stuff in the morning, he would get my iPad and my Instagram was on my iPad and he would just follow people for me. And then I'd follow more people when I woke up. And this is back when you could follow, I'm sure you remember the days, Cassie, when you could follow like 400 people on Instagram and not get blocked. But that helped me build my following so fast because he was getting that extra like 100 follow for me in the morning. And then I was following more when I woke up. So I think it's just so important to like find any little way that your spouse can be involved if they want to be. If they don't want to be, that's fine. But that was one thing that stood out to me talking to Spencer and Cassie in Costa Rica, was hearing Spencer just nonchalantly talk about the ways that he helped out, you know, in their day-to-day life because they're home together. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I just did do this and then I hand it over to her at this point. And it just made me smile hearing it because you guys are just such a team. Someone asked in the comments, how do you overcome the typical college girl objection of being too busy with school and multiple jobs? I see that so much more on Instagram than Facebook.
So I think it just comes down to making it a priority and really making the time. I think a lot of people think that they're busier than they actually are, and they have a lot of time that goes wasted. And I think it also comes down to actually doing income producing things, because there's just so many times we're on our phone and we think we're working because we're on our phone, but we're not actually doing something productive, because we can get caught up in the scrolling and looking at people's pages. And before you know it, it's been like 20 minutes and you haven't physically done anything productive. So I think it's just like really recognizing that and making sure that if you have only 30 minutes, making sure those 30 minutes are actually doing something productive, like actually following up or getting at host posts or getting out messages, things like that. And, you know, for me, I was really busy, but it just took some sacrifices. Like I woke up a little bit earlier in the morning, even though I love my sleep, it was worth it for me to wake up earlier. I stayed up later. I gave up going out a little bit. I was 20 when I started. So all my friends like were going out to the bars and stuff. And to me, the way I saw it was like, I'm going to be so much more ahead of these people. Like for me, it's worth staying home and sacrificing working this business because I know the outcome is going to be so rewarding, because I don't think I see any other 20-year-olds making $10,000 bonuses, which is what was offered at the time. So yeah, of course, you know, it just comes down to you making a choice. Like what's more important, like watching TV or going out with your friends, or earning a bonus that's on the table. So for me, that was more important to me. And of course, in the long run, it gave me so much more time because I was able to quit all those jobs, and now I have all the time in the world to do both. So just know that it's just like a temporary investment that you're putting into your business. And if you really, really give this business a full year of solid hard work, it will 100% change your life. And at any point you can do that, but you have to just like really be honest with yourself and like recognize if you haven't been doing all the things. Because I think a lot of times we think we're doing all the things and we're really not. And I actually just finally started the KPI system thing. And I was very kind of turned off in the beginning. I was like, oh, I don't really need that. And obviously, like, there's more I could always be doing too, right? And especially for people that are newer or are busy, if you're going to school or if you're a mom, if your schedule is busy, I think it's something that you can definitely take advantage of and really benefit from. So I would recommend doing that for sure if you haven't yet, because I definitely was skeptical in the beginning and I didn't think I needed it, but if I need it, I think everyone needs it for sure.
Okay, so we have a couple questions. Quick question is, do you only follow private accounts? And then
No, I follow all accounts. I just stick to mostly girls, so it doesn't matter if they're private or public.
Okay. And then what do you do to help your leaders each day?
So it's a little bit different, of course, because I have some leaders that are amazing and they're very self-sufficient and they don't need me in a day-to-day, but they know where to find me. But for me, it's just like checking in on them and just making sure that they don't need anything from me. Because if they're a leader, they know what they're doing. But as long as they know that I'm here and I'm available to them and I'm here for them, I know that they're good. So that's just what I do. I just make sure that I always stay in touch with my leaders and also my new distributors. I'm very adamant about texting my new distributors as much as I possibly can in the beginning, because it's a very vulnerable stage in the business, like the first 2 weeks, I would say, and making sure that they're off to a good start. But just being present, being there for them, leading by example, just inspiring them. That's all we can do. We can't make anyone want this or make anyone do this, but if we're there for them and we're showing them how it's done, they're going to follow your lead.
I love that so much. And it sounds like you're just very intuitive of like what people need. Like if someone needs more of you, you're going to be there to give that to them. But if you see someone's got it and they're more self-sufficient and you know they want to kind of take the bull by the horns themselves, then you're perfectly secure with that too. And I think that's just awesome. I think a great leader knows what people need and they give what people need and they know when to not overstep. And I see that in you so much with having such a huge team of powerhouse leaders. Like you can just tell you guys all have like a little bit different dynamic, but you guys are all so close and work so well together. I love it. It's super inspiring. Okay, I don't see any more specific questions, but I guess we'll wait and see if a couple more roll in. But the last question I have for you, Cassie, is just like, what would your final piece of advice be? Like for maybe it's someone that just recently joined and hasn't really gotten off started strong. You know, you talked about maybe you went all in early on and you really do attribute a lot of your success to that. Maybe it's someone that's been in for a while and did get started off strong and now they've just been kind of stagnant. Like you have such a be obsessed or be average mentality, and that's what I love about you so much and why I always feel like I've resonated with you. So what just like kind of like in light of that, what would you speak on to anyone that's kind of in a weird stage right now?
So if you're new or maybe you've been in for a while, maybe you haven't really seen the success that you want, I would definitely take quitting off the table. I think a lot of times people give this business a certain deadline of how long they're going to work it before they actually give up. And if you have that kind of mentality, if you have a plan B mindset, you're always going to take the plan B, always, because you have it in the back of your head. But for me personally, like in the beginning, I didn't have a plan B because I dropped out of college. And obviously the jobs I was doing wasn't going to get me a career. So I knew because I had no other choice, I had to make it work. It wasn't like I have a fallback, like I had no other choice. And trust me, it wasn't always easy. It was very difficult. There was plenty of times where I felt like giving up, where I felt like it wasn't going to work. But because I kept going and because I kept showing up every single day, I was successful and I had a huge sense of urgency. If you don't have a sense of urgency in your business, you're not going to get anywhere, because you have to like give yourself like deadlines for the business as far as like goals, but not be upset if you also don't hit them in that time frame, because this is a lifetime business. It's not a month to month business. So it's really good to give yourself those like let's say yearly goals or monthly goals that you want to give yourself, but also give yourself grace if you don't accomplish them, because it's okay. You still got one step closer to that goal. But also like be consistent with what you're doing and also be expectant of your harvest. So like when I'm working, not every single day is a day that I'm enrolling. I would love to enroll every single day, and there's lots of days that I do, but there's a lot of days where I work really, really hard and I don't enroll at all. But because I'm consistent, because I know all the work that I'm putting in is going to come to fruition, I'm so happy and content if I lay my head at bed at night, on the pillow at night. Sorry, I can't talk. I know that those people are coming, and I know that it was a job well done for the day because I did all that I can do and I had all the conversations. For me, it's all about how many people I'm talking to a day, not how many people I signed up a day. Because I could also have a different day where maybe I signed up a lot of people, but I didn't do as much work. But that's because I was harvesting all the people of all the work I put in, weeks prior, months prior. So I'm always working with an expectation of harvest, and I'm always working with a attitude of thankfulness, because for me, like, being positive and thankful is so key. And if you're not thankful for where you're at and thankful for what God has given you right now, how could he possibly bless you with more? If you're not thankful for your $300 paycheck, why on earth would he ever give you a $3,000 paycheck or a $30,000 paycheck? Like, you have to enjoy the process, own where you're at. You're not just an executive. You're not just an emerald. Like, that's important too. And like, you have to just trust the journey and be patient. Like, this business does not grow overnight. You know what I mean? Like, most people don't do it as quickly as I did, but that's okay. Like, you don't have to compare yourself to me. I actually find it more inspiring people that had the slowest starts ever and they still made it because they kept going and they didn't give up, because it was easier to quit, but they didn't. So for me, like, it's just always moving forward, no matter how I'm feeling. Of course, I'm always working no matter how I'm feeling. I'm always going to have bad days too. I'm a human too. I know it might seem like very pretty from the outside, but I always have life happening. And no matter what, I'm always going to show up because my business is important to me and my why is important to me. So that's pretty much it, unless there's more questions, but that's what I would say.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, Cassie. You're just seriously such an inspiration. We have so many, girls on here tonight who are in college and who are, despite having things happen, maybe they're in roller quit, maybe they've had a slow start. They're still, pushing and still going all in. And I know they look up to you so much, and everyone was so excited to have you on tonight. So thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. I know you don't do a ton of Zooms, but I made sure to let everyone know that you do not do a ton of Zooms and that we were so blessed to have you on. So everyone is 10 times more appreciative than they would have been ordinarily seeing you, now that they know that this is such a rare thing for you. So thank you for being on. We love you so much, and I can't wait to see you. I think I see you in a couple weeks, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.